everyone, welcome to Mongrels Garage, where today we're going to be tackling a fairly common problem to these LS series engines. Now you can't see it very well, but this is my 99 Trans Am and it's got an LS1 in it. And the common problem that these sometimes develop is with the oil pump losing oil pressure, and that's due to the pressure relief valve getting jammed up in it. Now unfortunately you got to take a good chunk of the engine apart to get at the thing because it's mounted on the end of your crank snout. So we're going to see how much of it we can do in the car, in situ. Start pulling accessories to get the timing cover off. I'll get the harmonic balancer off, timing cover, all that stuff. Get to the pump, see if we got to drop the oil pan, whatnot. So stick with us. Let's see how we do.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me.
Okay, folks, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff we gotta get off in order to get that timing cover off. So yay, fun. Here we go. First thing we're going to start with is right here though, and that is draining the rad. Let's see if we can get this opened up. We got it turning. Oof. Oh, come on. There it goes. Finally, we're just going to pull it right out. There we go. That O-ring is not in good shape, folks. Alright, well, I'll let that go for a bit and we'll start loosening up some of the other stuff here. Alright, so the next thing we need out of the way is the airbox and all this McGubbins here. So we'll get on to that. Looks like it's about 10 mil for most of this stuff. And then a flat screwdriver and a couple connectors. So let's get this out of the way. Looks like our air sensor. This looks like our mass airflow. That should be good for that stuff. Yeah, it's not a job I've been looking forward to, but I would prefer the car just work, obviously, like all of us would, but sometimes you run into this stuff. There's not many miles on this car. It's probably less than 100,000 miles. I think it's 130,000 kilometers. Kind of crappy that it happened, but I mean, stuff happens, so let's deal with it. Get her done, get her fixed, get her back on the road. We're also going to tackle the clutch in this. That won't be on this video. It'll be a separate video probably. A few things to do regarding the clutch. Feels like most of that just popped right off. That came off. Yeah, there we go. So our airbox and our rad shroud and everything, our rad retainer and all that stuff, fan retainer, it's all kind of one piece. So we're just going to take it as one piece. We'll set it aside. Now what I like to do is with hardware, if it's not going to be in the way, I like to put it back where it came from, so we've got a good idea of where everything goes. So we're just going to run all this back in here, and that takes care of most of that. Now we're going to pop the lid off and breathe a little bit, make sure we get all the coolant out. Alright, the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get this coolant hose off. We're going to get that off. We're just going to take this whole unit off. Probably see if we can get this clamp undone, although it's in a bad spot for me to get at. Get that clamp undone and just see if we can pull the whole thing out. Get that upper hose out. We're gonna get the fans out. And we might pull the rad. I gotta do the lower rad hose anyway, so we'll probably pull that. And that'll give us a lot more access to get into all the pulleys. Now, just to be clear, they do make a tool for getting at these things, but I don't have it. And every time I remembered that I need it, I'm usually home working on something. So we're just going to use some water pump pliers. Add a spin, work it back. Hey, look at that, we got it.
I've won! I've won! Ah, all in years.
What luck. Let's try the other one. Come on. There you go. There it is. Got that one too. We'll take this off at the throttle body maybe. We can get that. Come on back. There we go. Give it the old twist. Nope. A little hard to give it a twist. Okay, that's off. Nice. Oh, okay, that one's off. That guy's off. We'll get another line on the bottom of this contraption. Okay, we'll pull that off. Where that goes to. Oh, there's the mess on the floor. Ah. Ooh, that's oil. Oh, not on the belt, not on the belt.
It's just a little slimy. It's still good. It's still good.
Okay, well maybe we'll leave that intact. Okay, that's back on. And we'll just take the hose off. So we'll just swing it out of the way for now. It's probably the power steering cooler is what I'm guessing. And we made a nice mess down there. Yay.
Yay!
That moves out of the way nicely. We'll just go with that. All right, next, let's see if we can get these fans out of here. How are these attached? Are they just a slip-in thing, or is there a bolt on them? I think they're just a slip-in deal. Yep. One side wants to come out, the other side don't want to come out too easily. We got a couple electrical things. We'll go get my little fork to get those out. Got a little stinger remover tool here. There's one. Come on. This one's at a nasty angle. Doth protest. Well, what we can do is maybe do it the other way, where we just unclip the clamp instead of trying to get the stinger out. Give it one more go here. Oh, we got it. Okay. And that one doesn't look like it's going to be fun either. We got it. So we can get this thing to come out now. This air conditioning line might cause a bit of a problem. I hope it doesn't. That's weird.
That's weird.
Oh boy. She spied me. Kitty cats, this car is off limits. You've already made a mess of it. Oh, that's where that is. I know where that went. Oh, this is fun. So the side where you can get at everything easily just seems to slip right out. The side where we can't get at everything easily seems to be locked in somehow, and I'll be darned if I know how. Let's see if there's a bolt in here someplace. Doesn't seem like it. Feels like that should just pop up, but it ain't. Well, I'm gonna have to work at this a bit. I don't know if it's just this hose keeping it kind of in spot or if it's something else. But it don't want to slide up like the other side did. Well, we'll put the car back in the air and we'll see if there's some bolts underneath. How's that sound? Sounds like a plan to me. Okay, while we were under there, we took the opportunity to undo the connectors for the fan. And it was just a little bit sticky and this rad hose isn't helping. So that's what's going on here. It's just dragging a little bit. So it does just slide up. We'll just keep working it a bit. Either side. Hopefully it'll come out. That side's fairly free. So this AC hose is what's jamming us up a little bit. With a little bit of pressure, we can kind of get that out of our way. And the weight of the fan, they're heavy. It's not a light assembly. Caught on a sensor over here.
Maybe you need to adjust your sensors. Would you just...
We need to go that way a little bit. Hopefully we can. It doesn't seem that we can. Lovely. Oh, this is a joy. See what's going on. We're just catching the outlet at the bottom of the fan retainer. That's what's holding us right now. There we go. It's a tight fit. Now we're caught on the inlet. Oh man, this would be easier if two people. I'll tell you that much. Okay, I think we have to get our little hose off here. That'll help us. Easier said than done, of course. Well, we already took this off at the steam port side, but we'll take it off at the rad. Give us a little more clearance and just put it there for now. Come on. There we go. Oh, don't go back down there. Don't be like that.
Don't do that! Don't do that!
Don't do that. Oh man, it went back down. Yeah. This is far more of a struggle than it should be, let me tell you. The AC hose is not making my life easy. Okay, a little bit of brute force there. Not too much though, because it is plastic and we don't want to break things. It's enough that it shouldn't slide back down. If you guys know a better way to get these out, please let me know. Yeah, that is a bit of a struggle. The big problem is this AC hose over here, just not giving enough clearance. I'm old, I gotta catch my breath, yeah, I know. Well, you tell me what you want to do then. I don't know. I'm just trying to fix you. You don't want to be fixed.
I can fix this!
That's up to you. I'd like to have you fixed. Okay, so the problem we're running into now is the bottom of the fans have a bit of a lip on it. It's catching our radiator. Oh, you're being miserable.
It is broken.
Oh, there we go. A little bit more. Oh, hey, what's this? That's messing us up. Well, so there's a little connector or something here. That was not helping us. Okay, it's a little more free now. There's not one of those on the other side. I am not looking forward to trying to get that back in there. Yowzers, yowzers. And it's just that easy, folks. Good Lord. Whew. All right. Well, that's one thing out of the way. Oh, what's it going to take to get the rad out of the way? Got most of it disconnected. I wonder if it just slips right up. Okay, all the lines are now disconnected from this radiator. Every last hose, line. So hopefully this thing will just kind of slip right up, but the condenser is hooked into it, so we're gonna have to pop that out. Is it hooked into it at the bottom too? I bet you it is. Just to make life so much simpler. Because everyone wants to deplete their air conditioning to pull the radiator out. That just makes sense, doesn't it? Nope, really doesn't. Oh, into the cheese grater we go. All right, so there's a tang here that the condenser slides into. There's another one on the bottom. It's like that on both sides, so have fun. What you gotta do is you gotta lift the condenser up a little bit, pop it out of the rad, try to wiggle the bottom of the rad out. I got the one side out, but I am really struggling getting this side out. Well, let me guess, she went back in. You're so close. Well, maybe we leave the skin grater in place and see if we can just get everything with it sitting here. Looks like there might be enough room, but it's going to be close. Yeah, let's do that for now. We'll come back to it if we have to. Nice to have that extra room, though. I think we can do it without it. So let's try that first. Okay, the first thing we're going to want to do is get this belt off of here. So we got our tensioner here. Now there's two belts on these. So you get the air conditioning one, which is down low, and then you got this one, which is up high. I think we just went the wrong way. There we go. Okay. Sure, I'll remember how that goes together. Nope, probably not. That's what the internet's for, right? Okay, get our belt off. Oh, we need a new one. That's not looking so hot. So all the cracks in there. Yeah, I should get a new belt, I guess, since we're here. Just a good thing to do. I might even have one. I'll check. Got a few hanging up, so. Okay, what's the next thing we want to do here? Well, you know what? The power steering pump looks like it's very much mounted to the head, so we're not going to touch that. We'll leave that on there. We'll start with the water pump, pull some of that stuff off. We might even be able to leave the alternator on. I'm not sure. So let's just start by taking the water pump off and see what we got after that. We'll take this rad hose off first. It's kind of sitting here in the way. Screwdriver. I wanted to replace this one anyways, as I was saying. This lower rad hose. I nicked it a while ago. And by a while ago, I mean many, many years ago. And I just, rolled the old dice. Just bad idea. Worked out for me, but don't recommend it. Take care of your stuff. Replace it if you need to. There we go. Clamp is loose. Hose is spinning. So I should be able to get that off pretty easily now. Ta-da! That's out of the way, and we will replace it. Oh, I thought I nicked it. Oh yeah, there it is. You can see I put a little nick in that. Not bad, but should have replaced it. Okay, see what we got. Well, to get this idler pulley or this tensioner off, it looks like a 15 mil. Yep. Oh, it almost went into my bucket of antifreeze. I should move that. Nah, not till after we get it in there. All right, where'd you go? Whoop, just what went down. So a bit of the antifreeze has run out from the floor dry I put down. I almost went for a tumble. Keep the shop clean, folks. Okay, that's all nice and loose now. Not that loose. That feels loose now. Making progress here. Now the fun job of all this is going to be getting that harmonic balancer off. It's so fun on these modern engines. Now I do have a tool. There is a special tool for that. So it's a good idea to pick one up or rent one or something, because it's very difficult, if not impossible, to do that, remove that balancer without that tool. And it's the same thing with the Hemis, LS Hemis, kind of the same thing. You really need to pull that sucker off and have that tool to do it. And then there's a tool to put it back on, because if you use the crank bolt, there's a good chance you'll strip out some threads. Hopefully you'll just wreck your bolt. You might wreck your crank, which would really be bad. I wouldn't take the chance of putting it on with your bolt. I've done it in a pinch, and I went through a couple bolts, so Do not recommend. Okay, got our tensioner off. It's a little dry. Might replace that. Let's get this electrical connector out of our way. Okay, that's out. And we're gonna have to take off our heater core hoses. Make more of a mess on the floor. It's fine. I almost have it. An AC hose. Boy, it just gets in the way everywhere. Okay, there's one heater hose off. I guess I should get one of them GoPros or whatever they are, the fancy of a cameraman. Otherwise, I could mount this thing someplace you guys can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Yeah, that's why it's a lot easier with proper tools. Oh, don't spin. Don't spin. Come on, don't do that. It's just being rude. There's that hose off. Okay, both those off. I think we have to take the air conditioning. At the very least, we're going to have to take that air conditioning belt off. There's another tensioner down there, which will crack loose. Pretty sure it's the 15 mil again. Let's get you in here. Come on in, have a look. All right, so you can see there's our air conditioning tensioner down there. We'll loosen that off, get that belt off. Then we should be able to get at this water pump a lot easier. So we'll get all that off, get the pump off, and then we'll work on the timing cover. All right, I think we've had the success in getting that belt off. Oh, come on, still tension on it? There we go. How's that one looking? It's not as bad, but it's got a couple little cracks in it, so I think I might have one of these. We should replace it. Just trying to keep the cats off the lift. Someone said to put tin foil on counters and stuff. So I tried that. Guess what? It don't work. They just play with it. So that's a bust. Okay, these look like they're 10 millimeters. Steam port hose we got to take off right here, because it's right behind it is one of the bolts. That's lovely. Might have to take the throttle body off even. So we're gonna have to take that off. Might have to take off the throttle body to get at that. Give it a shot. Fries are done. Now I bet you these are all sorts of different lengths, but we'll see. That's just rude. That one might have gone into a coolant passage because it's a little sticky. Same length though. Okay, that one, we'll move over to the other side. I'll put an uneven torque loads on this that way. This aluminum plastic stuff, you gotta be a little more careful with how you take it off and how you torque it back down, because oftentimes it's a lot easier to warp, whether it's an intake or cover or whatever. Usually a torque sequence, so it's a good idea to look it up, which I will be doing before I put it all back together, but it's a good idea to have a look before you take it apart, because oftentimes you're supposed to take it apart a certain way too. Usually if you do a spiral patterns, kind of start in the middle, work your way out. Fairly safe to do that. I'm not going to say it's always safe to do that, but usually. Now, if we're really lucky, we'll get to leave the alternator, the power steering, the air conditioning on this, and pull the pump, water pump, and the timing cover off. But the chances of being that lucky. I mean, after all, we're already doing this job, so that's not very good luck. Could you put some longer bolts in? Round two. Yeah, I think I am going to take this throttle body off and just kind of set it back on top of the intake. Oh, that one might be longer than the other ones. Drink that. Okay, I got to clean up the antifreeze because the kittens are wanting to drink it, so I better do that. Okay, it looks like there's only 6 bolts that hold this thing on. The water pump anyways, because it's leaking all over the place and it's about to fall off, so it's a good thing. Bad thing is it leaked all over the place, so all the antifreeze I just cleaned up, I gotta clean up again. We'll get it off first. It really seems like it's about to fall off. Yep. All right. Remember when I said I should have taken the throttle body off? Yeah, I should have taken the throttle body off. I'll do that now, I guess. It don't seem to want to come out. That throttle body in place. Should be 3 bolts holding this on. Oh, you know what? We might just be in luck here. We might be able to get that timing cover off without taking anything else off. That would be freaking sweet. Very much like that. Yeah, I think we're good. Get you in here, give you a sneak peek in just a moment. There we go. I should be able to get this out. Oh, with ease. Nice. Okay. Oh yeah, sweet. Okay, I think we're good. So you can see now that we got the water pump off, that timing cover, we just got to get that balancer off and we should be good. Like that's looking really accessible. Air conditioning still in place, power steering still in place, and the alternator still in place. So right on. Car back up in the air, that'll be a little easier to get at that from the bottom. All right, here's hoping we got enough room for the impact and our socket and that stuff. Otherwise, this job's gonna get a whole lot harder. Ooh, that's gonna be close. You can crack it loose, maybe. There you go. But look, just enough room to do that. Not much more than just enough. Okay, that's out. Let's get our tool. So here's our balancer removing tool. Try it with a ratchet, but I doubt it's going to work because the engine's just going to want to rotate. So we'll see. Might get lucky. Oh, it feels like we're lucky. Ah, sweet. Almost like this was designed to do that. Excellent.
Excellent.
Oh, that worked really well. I thought that was going to be the hardest part of the job, but that was pretty slick. Now we can get on this cover. Looks like we can get it off. All right. Where's that 10 mil gone? Hope I didn't leave it up top. Might have. Sounds like something I would do. Ow. Funny bone. Not that funny. Cleaning up our tool here because it is done. We don't need that again for. Hopefully we can get this with our 3/8 mini impact. That would be fantastic. You know, it occurs to me, I did not drain the oil out of this. So hopefully it doesn't come up past that point. Voila! Timing cover's off. That wasn't so bad. And there's our culprit. There's our oil pump. Looks like we might actually get lucky and be able to change it without dropping this pan. Let's get you in here for a closer look, shall we? There you go. So we'll have to get that pickup tube out of there, and then it's those 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have to shim it as well. So you got to check that this is all centered up when you put it all back together. But we got a replacement oil pump, so let's get this one out. See what's going on. Well, we'll do the same thing. We'll just hit this with our little impact and see if it just wants to come off. Hopefully we can get a 10 mil wrench on that. I don't know though. If you do that and get that out of there, that'd be fantastic. Oh, it's not looking promising. Maybe it's a 10 mil, we're just not on it right. Oh, no. This is a 12 mil wrench, so that's probably why it's not fitting well. Oh, I got that loose. Nice. Whether we can get it out or not, that's a different story, but it's loose. I'm going to work at this for a bit. There's not much to see except me trying to turn this. I'll catch up with you if I get it out. Okay, folks, good news. We managed to get our old oil pump off. Here's the screw. Now, I have a wrench that I bent up like this that I was using, and then I got this loose enough that I could get some needle nose on it, grab it with the needle nose and spin it out the rest of the way, and that's how I got it out. What we're going to eventually look at is right here. So I'm pretty sure that's what's messed up on us. All right, so let's see if we can't determine the point of failure. Oh, look at that, made in Canada. Huh. Anyways, I think it's this bypass valve. That seems to be a fairly common thing, this relief valve. So we'll get this off and have a look. Well, I don't see much need in being gentle with this, so let's just get this. Now, if you want to change your spring, you can change the pressure of your pump. And, well, look at that. It ain't coming out. Yep, that's jammed in there. Have a good look in there and see what we can see. Right there. You see how that's wedged up in there? That should be able to fall out of there. It's not, which means we're going into full bypass. That's why I've got no oil pressure from this pump. Yay!
Yay!
Found our problem. See if we can't get that out of there. Boy, that's wedged in there good. If I can get to the hole on this side, I might be able to pop it out. I need a pick for that. Air pressure might be our friend on this one. Let's just see about getting our pump apart, shall we? Well, the good news is that all looks pretty good still. There's no real wear in there, so the pump itself actually doesn't look too bad. There's no scoring or anything in there. It all looks pretty good. Now, so we can't get our bypass out. Plug that with our, we're going to plug this with our thumb. Still don't want to come out. Yeah, wedged in there good. Yeah, let's go get my pick. Okay, I got a few different things to try to get this out. Picks, bent screwdrivers, little fork thing. Let's start with the pick here. Did that get it to move? I think it did. There it is. That's how jammed it was. Had to really put some pressure on it. Okay, well, that's our culprit right there. It was jammed up in that pump pretty good, as you've seen. You had to put some significant pressure on it with the pick to pop it out. So that's why our oil pump was stuck in bypass. Kind of what I figured. Okay, but there you can see passageway. Now, apparently you can hone these out a bit, clean them up, and they should work again. But we just replaced our pump, so we don't have to worry about that. As you can see, this piston goes into this passage, and then this spring determines how much pressure it takes to unseat the piston, and that's what acts as your pressure relief. But if it gets jammed up in there, like it should fall out pretty freely, you can see it doesn't. There it goes, it came out. But if I were to push on it a little harder, put springs pressure on it. Look, see? It takes a few taps to get it out, and it really should just float in there pretty freely, and it's not. And that's what our problem was. So we did find our problem. It's pretty evident. Now you can ream these out or clean them up and get this floating good, and then you can reuse this pump, especially when the gears were in as good a shape as ours were. So we might look at doing that. We might look at just cleaning this up, getting this to float freely. Kind of taking a chance, in my opinion, when the new pumps aren't that much. But if you're desperate enough and you don't have the cash, you can certainly do that. You can try to clean all this up, take a little Scotch-Brite or something, put it in there, get the piston, see, moving back and forth freely, and then you get yourself a working pump again. So that's a very common failure point on these LS pumps. Anyways, let's get back to getting the one in the car. That's for later. See if we can get this new pump in. We got a new melling pump. There's a new pump right there. Some new O-rings, excellent.
Excellent.
Let's have a comparison, shall we? It should be the same. Everything looks very similar, so I think that'll be good. Read our instructions. Because a lot of people, this is where they run into problems with these O-rings for these pumps. You can nick them, and then what will happen is you'll have good oil pressure for a while until it starts bypassing that O-ring as it gets a little bit older. Then you'll end up with no oil pressure, and then you got to do this all over again, which is not fun. So it says this oil pump has 2 different O-rings depending on the design of the pickup tube that installs to the pump.
You better write down these instructions. We've got to be precise.
Tube looks like either design in figure 1 or the OE O-ring was red, then use the melling green O-ring. If the tube looks like figure 2 or the O was blue, use the melling black O-ring. Interesting. I think our O-ring was gray, but let's go grab it. It looks kind of grayish to me, so it doesn't match either description. So we'll go look at the pickup tube. So we definitely don't have that one. We might have that one, but that looks very similar to this one. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's make sure we're focused in on it. There you go. So this is the one we don't have. We have either that one or that one. These are two are very similar. What we're going to do is we're going to compare these O-rings to the old O-ring. Then green one's way thicker. We'll make sure it fits on our pickup tube properly. Well, it definitely goes in our pickup tube, no problem. Other black one fit on that tube. Fits very nice on that tube. Look at the old one. This is the black one. It's about the same. Okay, slide that on. As you can see, we get the new oil pump on there. I'm not going to put those in until after I get that screw started, because that's going to be a bit of a bugger. What I can say about this is take your time. It's just barely enough room to slip it on there, and you got to pull down on the tube a little bit and try to line everything up, and just take your time and it'll eventually go. Don't get too rammy or anything like that with it, and it should be good. We did manage to do it thus far, so let's see if I can get that screw in. All right, I'm going to try to show you what I did here. Okay, we got it started. So what I did is I got a pair of these locking forceps, and I used them to feed the bolt in. I locked them onto the bolt, fed it in, took a screwdriver and put pressure on their head, and then I just used these, turn it in, and far enough that I can get the wrench in it. So that's it. Keep a magnet handy though, just in case. We did put a little bit of blue Loctite on it as well. Anyways, I think we're at the point where I need to use the wrench now, so we're going to do that, and I need both hands. So there we go. We managed to get the bolt installed, the pump's installed, close everything up after torquing everything down. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to center this pump up, and there's two different ways to do this. Well, there's a few different ways, but I'm going to show you the two that I prefer. One of them is directly from milling. You just put the crank bolt in, rotate it through one revolution, and that should center it up. We're going to do the one that's a little more complicated, but I'll explain why in a minute. All right, so now we want to center up the pump. It's actually pretty solid. It's not moving around much, but we're still going to do what milling told us to do. And how we're going to do that is we're going to put these pump mounting bolts in finger tight, no more than finger tight. And then we're going to take our socket, we're going to put it on our crank bolt, and we're going to rotate the engine through one revolution. I'm going to put it right there. I got a hole in my socket, so I know exactly when I've gone one revolution. There we go. It's one revolution. We're going to tighten these down to 18 foot-pounds. Yeah, there we go. All tightened up. There's a way to kind of double check everything's good, and I'm going to show you the other way that you could have done this, which is actually a little bit better method. We'll get into that in just a second. We're going to need ourselves a number 30 Torx bit, so we can take the cover off of this pump. Okay, we got the screws of the pump. We're going to take the cover off and have a look in there. Now, there's a couple of reasons I've done this. Number one is this gear right there should be floating nice and free. Should be able to just pull that out. If it's centered up good, not a problem. So that's good. Now the other method we could have used, I'll show you. I don't have both feeler gauges, and that's why I can't do it. Otherwise I would have done that method. You take your 2 thou feeler gauge or 2.5 thou feeler gauge, and you're going to put it in one at the bottom here, just in like that. You're going to put it in, and you're going to kind of tuck it in like that. And you're going to put the other one in at the top, and this will help center it up, and you should be able to run it around here. And you can go 2 thou or 2.5 thou, but we can get our feeler gauge all the way around, so we know we're good. Now, the second reason why I took this off, trying to prime this,
I've got to help prime.
is a bit difficult once it's all back together. So I'm going to put some oil and stuff in the pump right now so that it's got some oil when we fire this up, and it's already lubricated. I don't want to start this up dry. So let me go get my little squirt gun and we'll do that. Yeah, you might have seen me using this before. It's for priming the Hemis. You can also use it for priming the LS, but we're just going to use it to put some oil in here. Might make a bit of a mess, but that's better than turning this thing up dry. And then we're going to rotate the pump a little bit. We'll get some in the other gears. Let me just clean up the mess I'm making here. Hold on, don't let me slip it in that later. The back's already bad enough. All right, I got to put the crank bolt back in so we can rotate it a bit. There we go, it's about halfway. Move up those gears, and then we'll put our cover back on, and we'll put a little bit of blue Loctite on the screws. Nice and lubed up. And these are torqued to 106 inch-pounds. For goodness sakes, inch-pounds. Don't do foot-pounds. That would be disastrous. They don't take a lot. So hopefully we've given everything kind of its best chance at a long, optimal life by doing this. A little extra insurance. So I'm very confident that the pumps get some good spacing in it. It shouldn't wear out prematurely. We know we've got some oil in there, so we're not going to fire it up dry. That'll prevent premature wear. So We've taken as many precautions as we can. I mean, there's one more thing we could do is if we could take the alternator off to get access to the oil pressure fitting, but that's some work I don't really want to do. Considering we've done these steps, I think we'll be okay. So we'll just leave all that together. And like everything else, start everything loose at first and then tighten it up once all the bolts are in. Now the real trick to these things is coming up, and that's the timing cover. You make a special tool for it to center it up. We're not going to use that. What we're going to do, I'll explain it when we get there, but let's get this all tightened back up. And okay. 106 inch-pounds. I repeat myself, inch-pounds. You'll notice I'm torquing in a cross pattern because we can. All right, well, the oil pump portion is done. So we'll get this bolt back out. We'll get our new gasket we'll get that cleaned up, get our new gasket on the timing cover. We'll get our timing cover on there. All right, well, we put a little dab of silicone in there. Crank bolt back out. We cleaned up our timing cover. Just a little bit of brake cleaning. We cleaned up our block here. We got ourselves a new gasket. Checked out the seal on the timing cover. It's still pretty soft and good, so we're just not going to mess with that. We're just going to leave that. Okay, so we put the gasket on the cover, put a couple of bolts through it, so that should be okay now. Should be able to maneuver it into position here. There we go. We got her. Good deal. So we're just going to put these in finger tight, and then we're going to put the balancer back on because this cover's able to float around a bit. See all that movement in there? So we want to put the balancer on so we can center up this seal and give it its best chance at survival. Now there is a tool they make for this, and it'd be better to do that, but I don't have it, and you probably won't either. Especially if you're only doing this job once. So we're just gonna put these on finger tight. Put a little lube on the balancer so we don't fold our seal up. I do have a new seal if I have to, but this one's in good shape. So, and I don't want to change it if I don't have to. So we're just gonna leave it. I wonder what Ole from Mongrels Garage is doing today. Probably working on a Ford. Those Fords need a lot of work, it seems. But keeps him out of trouble, keeps him busy, I guess. If you haven't already checked out his channel, go check it out. Got some neat projects on the go. All right, now you get to see the other special tool I do have, which is for putting these balancers on the Hemis and the LSs, and you get a special install tool for them. And it's a good idea to use that, then you don't end up wrecking your crank bolt, or worse yet, your crank. Let me go get that. Okay, here we found our kit. All it is, it's kind of a bunch of different rods, but let's get this nut and washer deal here. It'll sit in here and allow that to spin freely as you tighten it up, and it'll just draw it on. It works very slick. Beautiful. According to this, it's M16 by 2.0, and I don't know if that's the right end or not, but that guy started in there. Get as much thread engagement as we can before we snug up the nut. There we go. I'm going to spin the nut on, and I usually just get my big crescent wrench. That usually does the trick, but we'll see what happens. It's almost like last time I used this thing, it was for this. All right. Just gotta keep an eye on things as it goes in. So what I'm looking for is I'm watching the seal to make sure it doesn't fold up on me or anything. I got my head back here in the crack as it's going in, and I'll check it out. Look at how nice that works. So tell you what, do yourself a favor, get one of these. Well, this is going to be a little bit me doing the same thing over and over, so we'll just go to the time lapse, I think. Okay, now that we get that on all the way, I'm going to turn it through a full rotation. Now we can torque everything down. Again, this is 18 foot-pounds for the timing cover bolts. And yes, we're back to foot-pounds now. So what is that, 216 inch-pounds? Because I don't have a torque wrench that goes that low in foot-pounds. It's not good to use a torque wrench at the minimum max settings anyways. My math is correct, it's 216 inch-pounds. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to start in the center more or less. I need more extension. Yep. All right. It's all together. I'll just check these ones again. Make sure they're still at torque. Oh yeah, we're good. Okay, take our tool off. Get our bolt in there and torque it down. Done. Okay, one thing we're going to do real quick, not going to let it run too long, but we're going to fire it up before we get everything else back together, because if we got to take something apart, better to leave it a little bit apart. And we can fire it up for a few seconds, and we'll make sure that we've got oil pressure, everything's working good, and see what we've got going on here. We'll also make sure we got no oil leaks or anything like that. So let's just hit the key, see what happens. Oh yeah, lots of oil pressure now. Excellent. Won't let it run too long because we don't have coolant and stuff. But it's sounding really good. I don't see any oil leaks. Excellent.
Excellent.
Sounds really good. Let's shut it off and get the rest of the way together. Oh, that's great. Well, there's a whole bunch of oil pressure now. Works beautifully. Excellent.
Excellent.
Okay, let's finish getting this thing together. All right, we got our big bolt torqued up on our crankshaft there. Since I was reusing the old one, I torqued it to 240 foot-pounds. Boy, let me tell you, it's a bit of a trick to get that done. Let's get the water pump back on this. I think we're going to be in the same situation we were with the timing cover, in that we're going to have to use the bolts to hold the gaskets in place. Now, fortunately, these are all the same length, so that's good. I don't know if we'll be able to get this in there. All the bolts also there, but we'll see. We'll do our best. We can do. Let's see, that's already trying to fall out on us. So we just cleaned off both surfaces. We cleaned off the block, we cleaned off the pump. Everything's in pretty good shape, so I'll just try to maneuver it back in here. All right, so far so good. Okay, top bolt started. Our gasket seems to still be in place. That bolt started. The ones on this side started. Oh, I can't believe I just got that lucky. I thought for sure I'd be fighting with those gaskets for a while.
All right, all right, all right.
Oh, I just got really lucky. Now, I did clean off some of the corrosion and stuff that was on the water pump neck as well, just to make life a little bit easier when we go and put the hose back on. All right, excellent.
Excellent.
I wonder if we get our little screw gun in there. Be nice. Step that on real quick if we can. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Ah, hello. Nice. Oh, you're not so nice. That one pulley's in the way a bit on that one. Okay, we can work around that. 10mm wrench. This is why I want to use the screw gun, because it's a lot faster to use that little impact. It's going to take me twice as long to get one bolt in as it took me to get 5 in with the impact. Oh well, we'll get there. Okay. Ding, yes, ding. All right. So those are supposed to be torqued to 22 foot-pounds. Seems high to me, but that's what the book says. So that's what we'll do. Click. There. There's the bell. Must be right. Water pump's back on. Excellent.
Excellent.
Start getting coolant hoses back on. So what I like to do is I like to take a little bit of Vaseline, put it on the fittings, or just a tiny bit in the hose. That way, if you ever have to take it apart again, they hopefully won't be stuck. Okay, that one's on. I hate these things. Hate's a strong word, but I do not like these clamps at all.
The clamps! Right?
Ow. Bet you if I had the right tool, I might not be so opposed to them, but I don't have the right tool, so I'm opposed to them. It's so miserable sometimes.
This isn't the biggest bag over the head punch in the face I ever...
Almost got it. Just like 10 more tries or so and we should have it. Ooh, apparently it's just one more try.
Hallelujah! Where's the Tylenol?
Kind of nice. All right, that one's on. Now we can put that there. And we'll go figure out our lower rad hose. Get a new one of them. Now we get this radiator all set back up in place. I'll wrestle that off camera. You get the idea, you got to slip it back into the little notches here. All right, we got everything to the point where we can put our fan assemblies back in. Now, the rad's back in place. I left the lower rad hose off to keep it out of our way. So I'm hoping this is one of those things where it's easier going in than it was coming out, because it was miserable coming out. But we have gravity on our side this time.
Gravity is foremost on my mind.
Hopefully it'll be easier. Guess we'll find out. Okay. Yeah, pull that up like that. By there, a little more room to play with. We might have to angle it a bit. Oh, there we go. I don't know if that's good or not. I guess we'll find out. I think this would be really a lot easier with two people. Okay, well that was easier getting it in. We were just caught up on this upper rad hose a little bit. I just had to shift it out of the way and it almost fell right in. Very nice. Didn't really want to wrestle with that too much. You know what, we're gonna leave that off until I figure out how the belt goes back on, I think. We'll put this end back on though. Oh, we got it. Shocking. Set up and get that lower rad hose done. I did find my new one, so that's good. I'm gonna put it in the air to get the lower rad hose on because it's just easier. Okay, while we're under here, we're just gonna make sure our radiator is engaged properly in the tabs. You see right there? That's one. That's the other one over there. We're good. We're also gonna hook up our fan wiring. It's easier to get to from under here. So let's get that all done. Okay, everybody, it's time to play your favorite game. Get the Serpentine belt routed properly. Oh man, this is always so much fun. Okay, so one thing that makes it a little bit easier, whenever you get a smooth pulley, you always make sure the back side of the belt goes on the smooth part. You get a ribbed pulley, the ribs have to go in the rib. So that will help you out a little bit with trying to figure out the routing. Now, I think we're gonna go around the alternator, we're gonna go around the power steering pump, and then we're gonna go around this idler pulley, and then we're gonna go down to the crank, be my guess. And, oh, see, this is ribbed. So what I'm going to say is that this belt's going to go under. Water pump pulley is smooth. So the belt is going to go around the power steering, go under the water pump, around the alternator, over the idler, around the crank. Still trying to get around the crank. There we go. Almost there. Get in there.
That's your home! Are you too good for your home?
Come on.
Answer me!
Oh, there, I got her. Oh, that actually looks like it might work. Okay, we're in the crank, we're in the alternator, we're in the power steering, we're around the idler pulley, we're on the bottom side of the water pump, and every pulley seems to have about half diameter engaged. So that all seems about right. We're gonna call that good. Put our upper rad hose on. Yay! Wasn't horrible, wasn't great, wasn't horrible. So we just have to put throttle body back on, hook up the hoses, hook air intake and rad retainer on, do a double check of everything, make sure we get all the lines hooked up. I'm missing something here. Where is that? We got all our rad hoses hooked up, we got our belt back on, we just gotta get our intake put together. And I gotta find out where this, I think that's our coolant overflow hose. We gotta find out where that went. All right, okay, the final thing we gotta put on, I'm gonna put our steam port hose thingy back on. And I'm gonna say it goes under the air conditioning, probably like that. Oh, that doesn't seem right. It kind of seems right. There we go, almost. Oh, you're kidding me, I got it. Wow, all right, that's it. Put our airbox back on, and our rad also retains our rad. I'm gonna clean this up first though, I think. Some of this dirt and stuff off of here. Don't have that off very often, so might as well clean up while we're here. That's all clean. That's on, that's on. I'm gonna pull this forward just a bit. That way we're putting some pressure on the rad. There we go. Air temp. Nice airflow. Done. Just some coolant. Oh, throttle cable. Works better with that hooked up. Goes better anyways. Alright, let's get some coolant in this bad boy. How good's my aim today? Let's find out. Not bad. We just got a little bit in. We'll see if we got any leaks down there. And although I spilt enough that it's going to be hard to tell.
You know what you are? You're a dipstick.
We'll make sure it's not coming out of our drain. And if we're good, then we'll finish topping it up. I always buy the concentrate because it's a better deal. Fill her up and then mix it with some deionized water or some filtered water and you're all good to go. So I'm going to put this back in the air, have a look. All right, we looked underneath. Everything's looking pretty good. Nothing coming out so far, so we'll finish filling this up. I think I'm going to go get some water in another jug because that's about half of that jug. We like to keep our 50-50 mix, so be right back. I'm going to get some filtered water here, some distilled water. Oh, looks like it's finally kind of topped up. Excellent.
Excellent.
Tighten up this intake clamp before I forget. Now that we statically checked to see if this was leaking, we're going to fire it up, let it build, get to temp, see if it's got any leaks after it's got pressure in the system. Well, let's see if it'll even fire up because that battery is pretty dead. I had to boost it. Hopefully it's got enough of a charge to fire up now. Oh, forgot I had it on the trickle charge. Whoopsies, should have it on the stronger charging. Okay, well, I'm gonna boost it again, I guess. All right, we've got it all back together. Everything's back in it. So let's see how we did. All right, looking good, sounding good. No leaks, lots of oil pressure. Let's go have a look at that. Nothing on the dash, all sorts of oil pressure. We're looking good, very happy. Right on. So yes, well, I guess that answers that question. We were able to successfully replace the oil pump with the engine still in the car, and it actually wasn't that bad. We didn't have to take that much off. We left the alternator on, we left the air conditioning on, we left the power steering on. Really, we only had to take the fans out. I don't even know if we had to take those out, but it made it a lot easier. Took the water pump off and we were able to get the timing cover off and get at everything. It's a little bit tricky undoing that pickup tube for the oil pump and putting it back on, but all in all, it went pretty good. I think if I were to do this job again, I could probably get it done in 2 to 3 hours. If it's your first time doing it, it's going to take you a little bit longer, probably closer to 6. So right on. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Doesn't cost anything. Give us a thumbs up, leave some comments, let us know what you think. And there's lots of other videos to check out. Please go ahead and check some of them out. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.